I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the board, I'd like to welcome everybody here this evening. And Mr. Latchmore, would you take a roll call vote or a roll call attendance, please?
Trustee Pelkey.
Here.
Trustee Menard.
Here.
Trustee Southwick.
Here.
Trustee Arnold.
Here.
Mayor LaBounty.
Here. Do we have anybody from the public that signed up the sheet, Chris?
The sheet is blank.
The sheet is blank, so we have nobody from the public. Okay, let's address the board. In everybody's packet, we should have the minutes of the September 5th, 2023 regular meeting. Those minutes are for review. If there's any changes, bring it up now. If not, I need a motion to accept those minutes as printed.
I make a motion, we accept them as printed.
Second.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes as printed for the September 5th, 2023 regular meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Bill, Treasurer Letourneau.
I just gave you guys a list of supplemental list of bills with 4 additions on it.
Okay.
And we have two deletions. Page 6, Northern Insurance for $309. And on page 8, Gillette Metal Roofing Company for $56,000.
Okay. If there's no question on the bills, then I need a motion to accept those bills as read.
I make a motion, we pay the bills as amended.
Second.
All those in favor of paying the bills, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, bills will be paid. Correspondence, Mr. Latchmore.
Thank you, Mayor LaBounty. I do have some correspondence. The first correspondence that I have, the individual is Brittany Turner, asked me to read this to the board. It's dated September 13, 2023. It says, "Good morning, gentlemen. I'm not able to attend the next meeting due to a scheduling conflict, but I'm asking that this matter in this letter be addressed, as well as this letter be read publicly during the next village board meeting. I have been anxiously awaiting the next step regarding the petition I submitted in February of 2023 in favor of allowing residents of Rouses Point to be allowed to raise a few backyard hens for a clean and sustainable food source. For months, I have been told by several members the next step would be a public hearing. Imagine my surprise that last Tuesday, September 5th, I was approached and informed by a board member at my place of employment that the petition that I had been vetoed due to the cost of changing the law. I watched the entire village meeting and there was no mention of this during the public hearing. Was this decision made in an executive session that the residents are not privy to? When did you plan to inform the residents? I see that we are going to a public hearing regarding changes in dog licensing laws as well as flood zoning insurance. Why are these issues more important and subject to public approval than mine? How substantial is the cost to change the law? I cannot imagine it's more sustainable than changing the other laws going to the public hearing. I'm sure that almost 300 residents that signed my petition would help raise the funds to cover the cost. I am also sure these residents will pay a great deal of money in taxes to this village, would be very disappointed to know that their voice is not being represented. It seems as if the voice of only a select few in this village ever gets heard. Have you considered lifting the ban for a year trial period? This seems like the logical first step. There have been no problems since Plattsburgh changed their laws allowing hens, and I see this going the same way in Rouses Point. Another inquiry What is the actual fine? Disciplinary action should one actually start raising hens on their own private property? With the state of the world, I do not see this as an unreasonable happening. If the village cannot afford to hire an attorney to change a simple law, it seems to be that there is not enough funds available to take action against someone not abiding. Even the simplest of codes/laws seem to go unnoticed and unenforced in this village. How would this be different? I look forward to your prompt response to this matter. Thank you, Brittany Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. I think this young lady deserves an answer, and I think tonight we're gonna give her one. I'm gonna ask that the administrator take a roll call vote to see each and every board member's position on whether we ask Mr. Murnane, our attorney, to start writing a change in our code, village code, and it will eventually lead to a public hearing. We're either gonna put this to rest tonight, or we're gonna move forward, because this has been going on long enough. Mr. Latchmore, will you take a roll call vote? I'm making I want to vote to see if, yes, see if we move forward and instruct Mr. Murnane, our attorney, to go forward and change the wording for our code to allow these hens in our village and pursue it this way, or no, we're gonna drop it and not pursue and have Mr. Murnane change the code as it exists today. Roll call vote, Mr. Latchmore.
Mr. Mayor, so are they voting that it would be changed, to move forward changing the code?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just needed clarification. Trustee Arno?
No.
Trustee Southwick?
No.
Trustee Menard?
No.
Trustee Pelkey?
No.
Mayor LaBounty?
No. It's unanimous by the board that this law will not be pursued. I'm sorry that the people that signed the petition might be upset, but we're trying to do what's in the best interest of the village at this point. Everybody doesn't always agree with our decisions, but unfortunately, this is the decision this board has reached, and we have to live with it. Anything else, Mr. Latchmore?
The only other thing, Mr. Mayor, that you needed to mention is that the public hearings were not gonna be held this
Oh, yes.
evening.
Could you just bring us up to speed? You had some conversations with the people from DEC with the flood insurance that we wanted to go to public hearing, and I'll let you inform the public of what your discussions were.
So the direction based upon the New York State DEC is that the Village of Rouses Point needed to amend some type of local law accepting the flood insurance. They needed to have it by September the 8th, and they needed to review it, and then they need to accept the documents as being presented. And I called them, Arsen was in the office when I spoke to the gentleman. He told us that we would have a response back within 24 hours. I've done 3 follow-up emails, and here it is, September 18th, and he has not responded back whether he's accepting or denying the adoption of the law to move forward.
Right, because at the last meeting I was at, which I think was on August 21st, we had just recently received the proposed local law from the DEC. And Chris and I had looked at it, and for all intents and purposes, it was really just plugging in some names. I think there was a section we had to plug in a fee, and what the DEC wanted was just to receive the proposed local law, not that it be passed, because I think that the date for it to be passed was later, much later, as a matter of fact.
You have up until, I think it's November,
Right.
but they said they need to review the draft, they can approve it,
Right.
which they said would be within 24 hours from the date that we send the rough draft, so then we put ahead the public hearing this evening.
But we did send it to them.
It has been forwarded to them, yes.
So we did do what we were supposed to do as far as the DEC.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Mr. Lattimore just hasn't heard back from them. I mean, and the local law that they sent us was kind of a boilerplate local law. It was more or less just plugging in our name, and I think there was one section that needed like I'm gonna say a fee amount.
A fee and an administrator of it. and-
Correct, but that was about it. So it was pretty straightforward and boilerplate. So I don't know why I haven't heard back from them, but.
Well, that's why we, at this point, if by happen chance that they happen to disagree with part of it or some of it, there's no sense of going forward to public hearing until we know they've reviewed it and accepted it 100% to move forward. There's no, we're not gonna have Mr. Latchmore advertise it and then have to re-advertise it later on down the road for some particular reason.
You know, I agree.
Right, because if they pass that local law, then we would have to amend the local law to the revision based upon what
DEC
DEC
recommended
approved it.
or changes recommended.
Right, no, 100%, I agree.
So what we did is, because we were planning on doing both the changing of the dog for the dog control officer and the flood at the same time, with the lack of communication coming back from DEC, didn't provide me enough time to even advertise for the changing of the dog code enforcement.
And I do have a draft of that it was commercial development local law we talked about, which I'll get to you tomorrow, so hopefully if we get something back, we can put that on for public hearing as well.
Okay.
Well, I guess we just want to make sure the residents that were watching here tonight, that they understood why we haven't advertised for the public hearing on both these. It's not because we don't want to move forward. Right now, our hands are tied, and as soon as we get that information from DEC, we'll move forward and have Mr. Latchmore, the administrator, advertise for a public hearing, and then we'll go from there. Anything else, Mr. Latchmore?
No, I think that's everything. Mr. Mayor?
Okay, thank you. I have a couple things. First thing is our Champlain EMS contract for 2024. Everybody should have a copy of that in their packet. Is there any discussions on that EMS contract from any of the board members?
Mr. Mayor, can you just confirm that from the total amount of $1,446,020, the village is paying $210,000 for our taxes, and the remainder, that's covered by EMS billing for their services?
That is my understanding. We had a $25,000 increase in the service, I believe. Is that correct, Mr. Administrator?
That is correct.
We were at, 185 for the last year, and that's $25,000 increase brings us up to $210,000 for the year 2024. Is there any questions on that? Anybody, gentlemen? If not, then I'd like to make a motion that we accept the Champlain EMS contract for 2024. I need a second.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Latchmore?
Trustee Pelkey?
I abstain.
Trustee Bernard?
Aye.
Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Arnold?
Aye.
And Mayor LaBounty?
Aye. The Champlain EMS contract has been approved for the year 2024 by the board. And lastly, I have Resolution 23-19, NIMFA proxy. We're not having a representative attend the NIMFA meeting, and we need a vote from the board to allow a representative from NIMFA to represent the village at this annual conference. Any questions on that? If not, then I need a motion to accept, or make a motion to allow a proxy vote for the village of Rouses Point at the NIMFA meeting.
I make a motion that we allow for a proxy vote at the NIMPA meeting.
Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Latchmore?
Trustee Pelkey?
Aye.
Trustee Bernard?
Aye.
Trustee Southwick?
Aye.
Trustee Arnold?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the resolution is passed for the proxy vote. That's all I have. Trustee Arnold, do you have anything?
I'd like to have an executive session on personal issues.
Second.
All those in favor of going to executive session at the end of the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. We'll have an executive session at the end of the regular meeting. Anything else, trustee Arnold?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, trustee Menard, do you have anything?
I have nothing this evening.
Okay, trustee Pelkey, do you have anything this evening?
No, I don't.
Trustee Southwick, do you have anything this evening?
The only thing I have is some residents reached out and after I asked, and the biggest concern for them is the intersection of Lake and Montgomery, but I believe since Lake Street is a state route, that severely limits what we can do about that.
That is correct. As far as any signage on Champlain Street, Lake Street, Pratt Street, that's all out of our hands. DOT would be the one that would have to do something around that if the village residents wanted additional signage. That's not something the village can just go up and put signage on.
So there is a process via the DOT that the residents would have to go
We
through.
could send them a letter requesting them to review a certain area of the village, a certain roads, but that eventually would lie in their hands as far as whether they would approve it or not. That's spend the money or not, that's up to them.
Right. It's also not the first time we've heard complaints about Lake Street, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. and
No, it's
understand.
been ever since I've lived in this
Why it's still
village,
happening.
when they park closer to the corners, it's very difficult. You almost, when you're coming out of Montgomery Street, you're gonna have to pull right out, and it's very unsafe sometimes. But unfortunately, at this point, there's nothing we can do about it. Anything else, trustee Southwick?
Not at this time.
Code Officer Cooper, do you have anything?
No, sir.
I have a couple questions for you, Mr. Cooper. Last time we were at the meeting, a young lady, Pine Street property, 3 or 4 feet grass. Have you contacted the owner of that property?
That's
Or
almost
where are we
done.
at?
He hired one of our employees and it's almost done. Got almost everything down.
So they started to cut that grass on that property? is that
It's
what you're
almost done.
It's almost
All
done?
all the 4-footers, everything's almost done.
Okay. There was some question about some debris in the swimming pool that was illegally put there. Did
Well,
you
there's
check on
nothing
that?
illegal in there, and they put 2 tandem loads of dirt on top. And of course, everything's settled, we're gonna wait, as soon as they get this cleaned up, we get to put, I think they need one more load anyway.
Okay. Anybody else on the board have any questions in regards to that woman that approached us the meeting before? Okay, as long as you're on top of it and you're making sure that this is being followed through, correct, Mr. Cooper?
Just drive by it, so you can see, it's pretty near done. Young Dean's been working on it up there almost every night this week.
Okay. Anybody from the public want to address the board before we go into, ask to go into executive session? Nobody? I make a motion, we recess and go into executive session. Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor of recessing, go into executive session, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Executive session